Today we are going to be talking about building a computer for use with Photoshop and the required hardware specifications. The first thing we are going to look at is memory. Photoshop is a memory-intensive program, and the amount of memory needed will depend on what you are doing in Photoshop, in terms of image size and the number of images you are working with. Adobe recommends 8 GB of RAM. In most cases, this will be fine. However, if you can, I strongly recommend 16 GB being your starting point. Now let's talk about GPU, aka a video card or graphics card. So do you need a high-end or a dedicated GPU to run Photoshop? Even though Adobe has been increasing support for GPU acceleration in Photoshop, only a handful of effects support this feature. So the answer is no. You can use the integrated video card on your motherboard. However, if you plan on using other programs in the Adobe suite such as After Effects or Premiere, you definitely want to get a dedicated GPU. Also, if you are opting to go with integrated graphics, remember, integrated graphics uses a portion of your system memory. Next on the list is storage. I would recommend using a minimum of 2 drives, an SSD, solid state drive as the main drive. This is where you would install the operating system, the Photoshop application, also any active files you are working on. With the SSD as the main drive, your system will boot, launch applications, and load files faster. SSD drives has gone down in price. You can now get a 120 gig drive for under $50. For the second drive, I would recommend a traditional hard drive. This drive will primarily be used for storage. In regards to the CPU, there are 2 factors you need to look at: frequency, which is the speed of the processor, and the number of cores, which is how many operations the processor can run simultaneously. You want a CPU with 2 GHz or faster that has 2 or more cores. For Photoshop, I recommend minimum an i5. If you plan on using other programs in the Adobe suite such as After Effects or Premiere, I recommend minimum an i7. Last but not least is the motherboard. Without going too in depth, I would recommend selecting a motherboard that will give you room to grow. So let's say at the time you build your system, you could only afford 16 GB of RAM. I would not purchase a motherboard that only supports a max of 16 GB of RAM. I would look for one that supports 32 or 64 max. Also, if you are not going to be using a dedicated GPU, you need to make sure you select a motherboard that has integrated graphics. Also, you need to select a motherboard that will work with the CPU that you choose. If you need help making sure all the parts you select for your build is compatible, you can use a website such as PC Part Picker. So to recap, for memory, a minimum of 8 GB, 16 is ideal. A high-end GPU is not needed. Maximum 2 hard drives, 1 SSD and 1 traditional. For processor, 2 GHz or faster with 2 or more cores. Pick a motherboard with scalability. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I will also be posting a video showing my setup and the computer I recently built for photo and video editing. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe for weekly Photoshop tutorials. Thank you.